from my background as being a teacher, the thing that I despair about the most is what we're doing to our children, what we're doing to our kids. You see with transgender ideology, the fact that we give puberty blockers to 8-year-olds, 6-year-olds, and somehow we think that this is progressive and kind is an abomination. It's child abuse. And the reason that we're not allowed to have sex with children is because children can't consent. It's that simple. And they can't consent to take puberty blockers because they have no concept of consequences. That is a psychological fact. The fact that we hand them social media, smartphones from the age of 10 and 11 is abuse as well, because you are just essentially molding their brains in the most unhealthy way possible. You're showing them the most unhealthy images possible. What Instagram does to young girls and to young women, I think it's the tip of the iceberg. We're going to see an absolute slew of girls who have with a variety of body dysmorphia, anorexia, etc., etc. The fact that Instagram are trying to create an Instagram for kids, have you heard about this?
No, I haven't. No.
They're trying to create a specific Instagram for kids. It's just vile, and we're going to reap the rewards. And I find it sad because it's not their fault, and we're going to have a generation that is stunted as a result.
100%. Yeah.
What do you think?
Gulags and genocide. We're on the road to it, and people laugh. They say, "No, not here." I'm like, "What do you think? We're special? You think historically we're fucking unique?" I know you've had Douglas Murray on a few times, but I remember he always said when people are saying, "Oh, this is a racist country," it's like, well, try going to another one. We can show you. I lived in Malaysia. If you want to, I mean, it's not a terrible place, but if you want to see institutionalized racism, if you're not a Muslim Malay, you're in a different tax band, and there are different universities. Absolutely. Different universities you go to, different employment laws apply to you, and you cannot convert to be, it's called Bhumi Putra. You can't convert to it. It's ethnic. It's in your blood. And you are in a different tax band. So it doesn't matter how many Chinese and Indians are working to help boost their economy, which they are the majority earners there. It doesn't matter. They're in a separate... That's racist. Like what we're talking about in this country is, I mean, specifically, that's institutional racism. Right. That is, it's enshrined in law. If it's not enshrined in law, it's going to be difficult for us to prove that. So to the Douglas Murray point is like, he always says, compared to where? Or compared to who? How are you grading us? How are you grading our civilization? But I think on the path we're on is gulags and genocide. So there's something here to do with personality disorders and narcissism. If somebody's heavily emotionally dysregulated, especially if they're borderline personality disorder, they lose the ability to assess threat properly.
Right.
If this was smallpox and it had a 30% mortality rate, I would look at unvaccinated people that way. I'd be like, you fucking murderer, you don't care. It isn't smallpox or the bubonic plague.
Or polio, which is...
Yeah, exactly. So I think when I look at I'm unvaccinated. When I look at the attitudes, I'm like, if I believe the threat was as high as they do, then I would understand it. But this is a threat misassessment.
Yes.
People with borderline personality disorder who are very emotionally dysregulated, I think it's called the HPA axis, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. And it helps us to physically look at a threat and assess like a proportionate and appropriate response. This is dysregulated in these people, completely dysregulated. That is an overreaction. Me being unvaccinated and walking around is not causing people to just fall down dead in my wake. That's not how this works. Also, when we use vaccines, we typically go through trial periods, phase 3, phase 4, to see if they work, because we have developed vaccines. We developed one for swine flu back in 2013, and we withdrew it. I'm not a monster for choosing to wait and see whether this will eventually be withdrawn.
But you know, your point about emotional dysregulation and over threat misassessment, which is absolutely 100% what we're dealing with here.